My God. Okay. Now the camera is gone as well. Okay, let's wait. There is some technical issue. I'll fix it in a second. And so the second games have already started, and it's hard to imagine what moves have been played. I think it's the French defense, but to get the exact move order, I'll have to look at the game, and I'm waiting for the confirmation. I think we can do something. until we get the score sheet or something. So maybe I'll just reshare my screen. So I think we have finally found the match, and again we have Mr. Uh, Ishan playing against Dr. Anis. So something about the players. This is the second round of the Doctor Chess League. Uh, we have been watching the first game before that, which was a tremendous game, and now the second game we can see is uh, being played between Dr. Anis Ahmed, who is consultant radiologist at Santokba Durlabji Memorial Hospital. He has a FIDE rating of 1625, which is not bad, let me tell you, and played the Pink City International and at college levels also. So definitely a very strong player. And also we have Mr. Uh, Ishan, who we saw in the last round as well, playing for the first board of ALCS, currently the first year student, MBBS student at Mahatma Gandhi Medical College, also a premier. So Anis Ahmed also being a premier. This is going to be yet another exciting game. And now that I have the notations, we can start. And it was a French defense, which I suspected already. But let's see how exactly they reach this move order. And uh, this happened. D4, D5, E5, C5, C3, knight to C6, knight to F3, bishop to D7. Um, it's a very smart move. There are some ideas behind this move order. Knight to A3. I think that's a bad move already because just C cross D4, C cross D4. BB4 check is a very good move. So yeah, now that's some problem. And bishop D2, queen B6, and now the D4 pawn is quite soft. Black is already taken over. This happened, and now this endgame is known to be bad for white, or at least very good for black. You might say that the black bishop is very bad, but there are some cases where you just go here, put the knight back, put the bishop, and exchange it in some cases where you even allow your pawn to get doubled, but you have the A and C file. Of course, you need to do all of that once you're well developed, but I think black is perfectly fine even in this endgame. Uh, but I think they did not go for this. Maybe after queen d2, they just played rook to e8, rook to c8. Yeah, this is also perfectly understandable. Uh, Bishop d3 was played, and then knight e7 followed, and then they finally exchanged the queens, and then they went bishop b1 and rook c1 check. So I think already this game. Uh, wow. So they're down a rook now. I think this would be a quick game. Maybe Mr. Anis fell into some opening trap which followed, which was started at knight a3. because knight a3 is not a usual move in this particular move order. You can play knight a3 in some variations where you can play knight a3 in some cases, but not definitely in this one. Maybe bishop e2 lines you can go knight a3 later, but not when you're not developed. And bishop d3 was again a mistake since this happened. So I think he just went here. They took. He went here, here, and then this happened. And now I think already being a rook up, this game is more or less over. And I think we would have a very short stream this round because I don't see a way for I don't see a way for why to do anything here. I think they played something followed. I'm trying to guess what exactly happened, but something like this happened. They don't even have their a2 pawn, so I don't know. Okay. Did they blunder back? I'm confused. Again, I don't have the score sheet, so I cannot exactly tell. But this game, I think maybe something like this happened. Okay. Just guessing. But maybe they played this. Then this move was played. Maybe. Okay, I think this happened. But I'm not sure how. So let's try to reconstruct this. Uh, let's make a move from whites and maybe they white played h3 here, knight went there, you went there, they went there, and now they have fell into this trick where black is still up some material, but white got the rook, but cannot save themselves from this position because they're at least a piece down still. I think this would be a very short game, and yeah, there's not much happening in this game. So with the quality of game we saw in the last game, this game was not of that high quality, but of course, blunders can happen, especially when you're rusty. Since Mr. Anis, I think, have played chess after a very long time, and these opening blunders can hurt really bad in that case. Even if you're a very good player, these blunders can ruin your entire game because once you fall into them, then there's no coming back from there on. Anyway, I think they're thinking the kings have reached the middle of the board. Think something like this happened. I don't think why this idea of why to bring up his kings is a good idea, but well, he's winning anyway. But if I was black, I would just bring my rook out and then continue that way. Anyway, this game is more or less over. Black would definitely win it. It was fairly short stream. There's not much to comment on the game when one of the player is a piece down. Of course, they're still fighting and trying to get some chances, but I don't think they will get any chances here uh, because the way Ishan won the last game also was very impressive under the time pressure. I think he won the last game, yeah. He was under pressure throughout the game, but in the end he just prevailed. And what a great start for him for the tournament. 2 out of 2. That's pleasant score to have. I wish we could see some other game, but I don't think we'll be able to see some other game here. So yeah, hello. Okay. Meanwhile we're at it. I can tell you how to play the French. Maybe if that's a good use of our time. Um, the board is also stuck. I think no, it's not. So maybe in this position when Black goes BD7, the main idea is to um, fight this line with Queen C7, or maybe F6 and then Queen C7. So the whole point is that if you go Queen B6 first, then the A3 lines are sometimes a little bit troubling, and they have to go back to Queen C7 attacking the center. So there's a very smart move order Bishop D7, although it's not the main line anymore because the Queen B6 move is uh, is now the main move again. So this is not the main line, but it's certainly a very smart move order. And if we go back and try to see what's the point is that once you play a3 they can just go uh, f6, and now of course taking it would be a good idea, good achievement for black, but bishop f4 is followed. And then I've had a game with Sonakshi Rathore, and yeah, so this was 4 years ago, and I also had one game with I have a couple of games here, and most of them were I got too excited with my position and then thrown them away. But yeah, this is definitely a good line where you can come knight e7 next, h6 g5, and you attack. And it's a pleasant line. I used to play like that, but now the main line is queen b6 is good enough because you can just keep attacking the center and then maybe go on for this line. Where if they take, there is some forced draw here. But if they don't take, then you can just keep pressing on this pawn. And by no means is it's a bad opening or anything, but it's theory, so it's good for basically black is happy here. That's why the main try against French is known as nc3, which is very sharp, and also knight d2 in some variations is very difficult. Advanced French is also challenging, but yeah, advanced French as a French player, I think he's one of the least challenging against French, and also that's the opinion of the top players. Hardly anyone plays the advanced French except Mr. Grishuk. So most players goes for knight c3, and some go for knight d2. Although knight d2 is also pretty rare because of c5 and the quick active play in the French Tarrasch c5 variation. But whenever and this time it's both are very challenging openings and very rich complex positions arise from both of these openings, mm, which is a great fight for both the sides. So that was something about French, and yeah, I think the game is also over, and Mr. Ishan has won the game. All right, hi Aman. And the last game also, I wanted to point out some things about the last game that all of which happened. I think c5 was played after 92 c5 c3 takes knight c6 bishop d3 bishop bishop e7 knight, or maybe they played knight here and then this. Was the bishop on d6? I'm a bit confused. No, bishop was an e7, of course. What am I saying? Yeah. And then they went bishop d3, and then castling happened. Castling. Uh, Maybe castling happened. Or then a5, a4. Castling, a5, a4. These things happened. And then the knight went here in some order. I don't know how, but don't even remember what happened. Oh, okay, sorry. They went here first and then took takes, and then they castled, then they played this, and then knight c4. They went back and bishop d7 and knight f3 and b5. In some order, we reached this position, and up till this point, it was great. But knight g5 was a very strong move, as I previously suggested. Also, now the attack on the king is very strong, and also queen h5 follows, and if you decide take, then in some order bishop f6 would be a very dangerous move. Maybe first take, queen h5 check, and then bishop f6. If you take, then rook e3 comes, and there's a lot of attack on the king, and it's difficult for them to survive. So this was a better try, but then in the game we saw this happened, and then after knight d7, where I said it is a bad move, and it was definitely indeed not the best move in the position. Bishop f4 again going back would be a good idea, intending to do some attacking ideas. But game followed this trajectory, and then taking this was a very bad idea. And if we move towards the end of the game, yeah, here queen b7 was a perfectly fine alternative instead of exchanging the queens, and then they just decided to give up the pawn, which was apparently hanging, but they did not take it. And I think in such cases it's okay to grab a pawn, because I don't see much of initiative going on there. Bishop g5 just comes, and this position would be great for black. In fact, they can just press also with this and create some problems. Maybe if the pawn reaches h4, bishop f4 would be a good square to round up the e5 pawn in a very weird way. And the queen is perfectly fine because the light squares are uh, very much in our uh, in our control to escape from this difficult position. Anyway, this did not happen. They did not take the pawn, and the game followed was followed by this move, and then again they insisted on taking the pawn with move h3. They came here. They went back, and now I was very much interested in move a4, but it fails for a tactical reason. b3. I where take takes, and then you can just take the pawn back. So that's where ac8 was played. Now threatening the bishop on d4, which they are of course protected. And then once they put more pressure on a4, they correctly came here and they came for a queen exchange. And in this case, in this position, um, bishop d8 was played, and I think this is an equal position. So very important thing to remember in this endgame is that the b5 a5 pawn is a big weakness, and if you do not exchange the a5 pawn, then more or less this game should end in a draw, because we have a mutual weakness on b2 and a5, and of course we have to be careful. But once our king reaches c2, b2 is a very hard pawn to attack, and after that there are no open files to create any chances. Black can try to open up the king side, but again we have firm control on f2 from the bishop as well, so the passive defense will also hold here. So I think b4 was a bad move here, giving some chances, and then rook c4 comes. The problem here is that they cannot take. Rook c4 is a good move, of course, and then they just took the pawn. They cannot again take the pawn because the bishop's hanging, so they remove the bishop. And now it was a very crucial moment in the game. And here I think d4 was a very good move. So I think when we discussed the game last time, I did not see that black played h6 here, which looks like a very important and good move. But the problem with h6 is that it's just not required here, and when it's a race, it's a pawn race basically. Usually it's a good idea to play such moves to open up a back rank, but the problem here is that it's a pawn race and you just fall short of a couple of moves once you do that. And I think this was followed, and then they cannot no longer push the pawn because they will queen and give a check also. So you'd even go there, they can just go there, and if you promote, you at least lose a bishop, and I'm pretty sure you would also lose the game in some fashion. Although defensive move like would be required here, rook f4, so that once they do this, you have some safety. But once you consolidate, I don't think there is anything for black to play for here. So that's why this was the problem. So h6 I think was a bad move. Maybe they can start pushing, and then it's just they're too fast and they cannot stop you. Also here after if you play rook c4, again you're just putting their rook on a better place, and your rook got many better prospects on uh, c4, then on c4, then on c4, then on c3. So this happened, and that's why the move at 6 was not so good. So that was an exciting game, and I think this game is also over. So yeah, I think we might as well end the stream. And okay, we had two rounds today, and if you see the standings, uh, ALCS is leading, and Somali Capital follows it, and the other teams are also fighting. So thank you for tuning in. We had great games today, and maybe we'll see. I'll see you in the third round.